Call this meeting to order. Can we have the roll call, please?
Mr. Carano. Here. Mr. Kerrigan. Here. Ms. Cooney. Mr. Curtis. Here. Mr. DeVold. Mr. Dortch.
Here.
Mr. Hall. Here. Mr. Hawkins. Here. Mr. Humke.
Here.
Mr. Finland. Mr. Trenton. Here. Ms. Weber. Here. Ms. Zadra.
Mr. Hawkins, would you lead us in the pledge? Lead us in the pledge?
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Approval of the agenda. Before we go there, items N, O, and P are going to be continued till next month. That was a request by Mr. DeVold, Chair of the Finance Committee, to have those continued until he's here. Other than that, any other changes?
Move approval of the agenda as amended.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Public comment? Any public comment cards? Anybody want to be heard? Seeing none. Review and approval of the minutes.
So moved.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Ellie.
Well, good morning. Let me point out a couple of things. First off, under tab B, you have the new committee list codifying the appointments that the chair made and that we put in effect for the January meeting, but so you all have a full listing of those rosters. That's available for your use. Yes?
At the bottom, is that correct at the bottom? I thought that the Reno Airport Authority was Jared, and I thought I was the representative of the
Well, let me explain. The Reno Tahoe Airport Authority has appointed Mr. Hall to our board. At the same time, this board appoints a representative to the Reno Tahoe Airport Authority, and that representative is John Wagnon, Vice President of Vail Resorts, who works at Heavenly. You, sir, are quite correct. You are one of the chamber representatives to the Reno Sparks Convention and Visitors Authority Board. As the general government representative, Mr. DeVold is the chamber appointment in the finance category. We were invited last year to make an appointment to the chamber board, and on the chamber board representing the RSCVA is Roberta Ross, a former board member who is continuing to serve on the chamber board through the 2-year period that they invited us to appoint somebody. So does that help explain the situation? Okay, great. Several things to point out this morning. One, we have the new getaway planner. This is a consumer piece that we use for potential visitors who say they're interested in material about the area. You can request it on the internet, by phone. We use it at various trade shows as well. And you can see this is the first time we've done the visitor planner with the new Reno Tahoe USA Far From Expected brand and logo. The first version of the 101 book that we had talked about when the marketing campaign rolled out is in fact just inside the cover and is glued in, so it's removable to put in your pocket. And it contains obviously a great deal of information about what's available in the area and is fully supported through the advertising that's represented here, but wanted you to see this new version that is in fact consistent with the brand. We are presently working on the convention materials, and we'll have more to show you about that later as those are under development right now. A couple of other things to my left, your right, I think for the most part. Brian Rivers, I think most of you know, is our accounting manager. He is filling in this morning and will be available to assist on any finance or room tax issues that might arise. The big news, of course, this week is Safari Club International. The show opened yesterday, and we're wearing these buttons to help welcome them. They're off to a successful start. The ribbon cutting was yesterday morning at 9:45. The show, trade show itself opened at 10. They started their educational sessions and day auctions in the convention center as well yesterday. They also started their major evening events, and they have a major event at the Peppermill each evening from Wednesday night through Saturday night when the show concludes. Last night, I believe it was the dinner, the entertainment, I believe, was Larry the Cable Guy, followed by one of their auctions. They're anticipating over 20,000 people this year, which is a very strong attendance for them. As you are aware, the vast majority of their attendees fly in. One of the reasons, from actually 50 countries, one of the reasons they're expecting very strong attendance this year is in addition to that fly-in crowd, they're expecting a very good drive-in traffic, which is aided by the wonderful weather. So they get more people who will come in for one-day passes on Friday and Saturday typically. So they're very optimistic about that. We have estimated that the economic impact related to this show for 2011 is approximately $21.5 million, and that comes from their direct local spending for hotels, on gaming, for restaurants, for shopping that they do here. That does not count what they spend in the convention center on booking hunts or purchasing goods or at any of their auctions. That's direct local spending once they have gotten here. So it's not airfare, it's not what they spend at the show itself. We're very excited. Things have been running very smoothly. The convention center staff did a fabulous job. They were, their move-in was extraordinarily smooth, and that all seems to be going well. We have been alerted that it is possible that there will be a public assembly this morning outside the convention center based on a request for a city permit yesterday, and they've been informed of the procedures related to that. Safari Club is also well aware of that, and so I would anticipate and hope that that will go smoothly should there be some desire to be visible this morning with that. A couple of other comments. One, as you know, we have been working towards the potential of a refinancing of the convention center bonds, which are open for their first potential, excuse me, not their first, this would be their second, I believe, potential refinancing in the 90 days, at the earliest opportunity, 90 days before July 1st. Bond interest rates have been moving the wrong way, so it's not looking as favorable now as we had hoped and as was the case 9 months ago, so we will be monitoring that. We have the opportunity to do that anytime starting July 1st, but if we don't find that the rates are favorable, we have the opportunity at any time during the remainder of the bond term, which is an additional 20 years, to do that at a later date if that's more advantageous. So, but we only have the opportunity to do it one more time. I see puzzled looks. Have I explained this adequately, or have I just thoroughly confused you? So we will be back to you potentially to talk about that when we have a better handle on the rates, but count this as the early sign that it looked really good 9 months ago. It doesn't look as promising right now, so we may be coming back to you to suggest we hold off on that until a later time. The item I did want to spend just a couple of minutes on to alert you to this morning is to anticipate the board workshop, and just to give you a sense of the preliminary topics that we're looking at, and would welcome your feedback if possible in the next week as we begin to pull that together. We're anticipating now, based on the input we've received, and probably the better part of the day, starting with content itself about 9 o'clock on February 26th, and we'll certainly have coffee and something before that for those who are interested. Following a brief overview right now, we're anticipating 6 or 7 subjects. One, a discussion about facilities, and tied in with that, the capital improvements needed short and long term related to those facilities. We'll start with some background. What do we own and or operate, and provide an opportunity for a springboard about the critical nature of those and where those fit in terms of priorities preliminary discussion for you all as we move ahead, how you see them fitting in or not into the key priorities for the organization. The second topic is around special events, and we made some significant changes in how the RSCVA supports special events when the strategic plan was adopted 3 years ago. There's certainly been some broad discussion about growing reliance on special events for the region, and lots of questions about what's the right role. How does the RSCVA role versus the city role for Reno and Sparks versus others fit together, and are there more things that we could and should be doing to help support special events? So how that fits into the overall plan, and what the needs are now and how we should support that. A third topic in the convention sales arena, how do we compete with the competition? What are the things we need in fundamentals to help ensure that we have all the tools to be able to do that effectively, both short and long term? Topic we talk about quite frequently, so this one will attempt to fly a little bit at 50,000 feet and identify kind of longer term, where do we want to be and what do we need overall in order to get there. Discussion about average daily rate. What is the Reno Tahoe history? How does it compare to other destinations? Is this something that the RSCVA should care about, be involved in? If so, what are the appropriate bounds and roles that we can and should play? An additional topic is marketing of the region. In addition to what the RSCVA does, what the hotels do, there are a number of cooperative efforts that we are active in, including various both leisure and meeting cooperative efforts, including broader ones with, for example, Ski Lake Tahoe and the Regional Marketing Committee, Golf the High Sierra, and the broader question of, would a broader major regional effort to promote the region help catapult us as a game changer to a new level of visitorship? And is that something that we should be exploring and pursuing? Coming back to the topic of tourism, the majority of our visitors are leisure travelers. How do we and where should we work in new directions? And are we putting our emphasis in the right ones now with the travel distribution channels that we focus on? So evaluating that and talking about where our next efforts ought to go in terms of broadening the campaign to bring leisure travelers to the region. All of those potentially leading into the final topic for the day, which is a bit on budget planning and leading into the upcoming budget season. Given where the money comes from, where it goes, where do we want it, looking for some feedback on emerging priorities and areas where you'd like to see more emphasis for the coming budget would probably be the final topic leading into because this will be more of a dialogue and conversational focus at the workshop, and we will broadly agendize these topics. What we will want come the end of the day is identification of follow-up items that then ought to come back with specific recommendations to the committees and to the board for action in the context of either the budget, strategic plan updates, or operational plans that meet with the direction that you're interested in seeing. So that's a bit of a rundown. Would welcome your comments and feedback here, and any additional over the course of the next week as we try to firm up the agenda in anticipation of the workshop. But particularly like to be sure we're on the right track, capturing many of the issues that are of importance to you that you'd like to see us spend some time on. Would welcome your thoughts.
Any questions or comments? Paul?
Just that one comment. I think it's great.
Paul, can you turn your mic on? Thank you.
I'm slow. I think this is great. I think this is a good list of topics. It strikes me, and I shared this the other day with one of the other board members. I once was able to observe I listened to the new CEO of Porsche automobiles, and he came from, I think, Cummins Diesel, and he said in Germany the unions can go ahead and just call a meeting, and the management has to go ahead and explain to them kind of what's going on. They can do it, and there's 5,000 people in the audience. And he said, inevitably, somebody asked a question, hey, well, you know, here we are, we're building all these funny little cars, and what is it that you guys do? And why are you here? Because you're sucking all the salary out, and, you know, what's it all about? And he says, you know, if everything goes normally, you don't really need us. We're here when things change. And when there's a change, our job is to go ahead and understand what the change is, to anticipate the consequences, and to guide the future. And it strikes me that that's exactly why we're here as a board. If nothing had changed, then, you know, things kind of hum along pretty well. But I would submit to everyone here that there has been a change, a rather significant change, a systemic change brought about by the current economic condition in which we find ourselves. So I look forward to exploring these topics from that perspective, that things are not what they were, things will not be what they have been, and how can we address and guide the future in a fashion that's going to be advantageous for this organization and this community. Thanks.
Anybody else? Is that your report?
The last thing I'd point out is for those of you who are going to Safari, and please hang on to these for the upcoming year, parking passes for the convention center. So thank you very much. That does conclude my report, and I would invite you, if you have comments as you reflect on the remarks about the workshop, to please share them with me and with your chair, so we can firm up the agenda in the next week.
Yeah,
Thanks.
I would think that we'll see if you get any comments from other board members, and then you and I can get together and kind of just finalize the agenda. Okay. Okay. Items for board consent, Finance Committee. Mr. Humke.
Thank you very much. The chair, Mr. DeVold, is traveling and is reputed to be in New York City.
Went to much warmer weather.
I think they had 15 inches of snow there, but that happens. The Finance Committee met on January 12th. The first item which was moved up was motion for order to show cause hearing as to Baymont Inn and Suites / Hawthorne Suites. After some discussion, a workout plan was agreed to, which consisted of the property would pay all outstanding transient lodging taxes amounts within 2 weeks of its receipt of the written decision of that hearing, to establish a separate account for collecting taxes on a weekly basis, and three, report and deposit transient lodging taxes on a weekly basis with the RSCVA. That motion passed unanimously, and editorial comment, it seemed like the management felt like, seemed to portray that this board was doing them a favor so that they had something to take to their banks and financing entities. And I think they were pleased with the result.
Just on that note, do we have an update on that?
They paid the December room tax. They have not yet paid the other required items, some of which were required last week and Monday, and a significant payment which is due today.
Right.
So we are prepared to take additional action, unfortunately, should they not meet the major payments today.
Okay. Sorry to interrupt you.
Not at all. They seemed happy and relieved
At the time.
that day.
At the time.
Yes, that day, January 12th. Then there's some other OSC hearings that took place later in the agenda. I'm going in order because I need to stay in order. We had a report of the November transient lodging statistics. November was good, up 6% above budget. As to room tax revenues, the October minutes showed that there was a 4.8% decrease from budget, resulting in $76,600 less revenue tax revenue to RSCVA. We had a couple of months' reports there. Then there were some agenda items having to do with President CEO contract goals and incentives. I think you can see that report was accepted. And then there was a discussion of changing the date of the contract extension of the President and CEO through December 31st, 2011, and that passed unanimously. And then there was a discussion of performance evaluation process, and all of these motions generally were resolved in this final motion as to the President and CEO. There was a desire to harmonize the contract schedule and performance evaluation schedule with certain budget thresholds or significant events that occur, and that was the attempt. Further, Mr. DeVold suggested that he would like to propose that a third party handle the President and CEO evaluation process, and he noted this was his idea, not mine. I didn't promote this to him. He was approaching the Washoe County HR department, which is currently going through a best practices analysis, and he apparently likes that approach and would like to gain the benefit of the wisdom that they have gained in that process to recommend this process for the CEO President evaluation. That final motion. Yeah, that's good. Sorry. Now on to another motion for order to show cause as to Ponderosa Lodge Motel. They were without counsel and were not represented, so there was no recommendation made, but there was an acceptance of $1,000 payment. They were $9,500 in arrears, and they proposed payment of $1,000 a month. I believe that's in addition to their making current payments. $1,000 was accepted in September, and then the day before, this one is a bit happier, they presented the additional $3,000 for October, November, December that they had not paid. The day before the meeting, that $3,000 was received, and bringing them current under their proposed agreement. Then we accepted the facility reports, the refinancing of a bond, a 2001 bond, that is callable on a 10-year basis, and that is coexistent with a July 1st interest payment due, and there is a desire to close escrow on a refinance in April or May of 2011. That process is on schedule. Finally, there was a report as to an earlier OSC as to the Sienna Hotel. As members know, that property has been sold, and the good news is that at close of escrow of that property, the lien was satisfied, and RSCVA held a lien of $100,000 plus a few dollars. That lien was satisfied, and we look forward to the new owners reopening on or about spring 2011. That is a report. Thank you. May I answer any questions?
Any questions? Mike?
Thank you. This isn't, Dave, if you can answer it, fine, but this is, I think, appropriate for the finance part of this. In the governor's State of the State, he mentioned a 3% room tax back to the county. Can somebody fill me in, like in 2 minutes, on what he was talking about?
I think I can briefly explain it, and it goes like this. The section of the room tax that I believe the governor was referring to was the latest piece that was created, which was created on IP1, which was funding for the schools, and that was intended to be for teacher salaries, and it came out of the initiative that was proposed 2 years ago. My understanding of it is that he wants to redirect those dollars from straight teacher pay into a merit program to be used for the school. So it would retain the basic principle, as I understand it, of what the initiative supported, which was the money going for salaries for teachers in the state, but redirect the process from across the board to a more merit-based system. And I don't know if Mr. Sandy can add to that, but that
No,
was
I
our
understand,
understanding.
I
It wasn't
understand
adding
what he's trying to do,
room
but
tax.
what I didn't understand is where the 3%, is that
Most
in the room tax right now, 3% goes to?
In the initiative, room taxes were raised. They were raised more in Clark County because Clark County was lower. They were capped at 13% in Reno. So the max that it raised in Washoe County was 1.5%.
Yeah, that's what I thought,
Whereas
so-
in Clark County, it raised at 3%. So since that's the bulk of the dollars, I think that's where his 3% number came from.
But what I'm saying is even though it only went up 1.5% in Washoe County, we're going to give another 1.5% on top of that. Is that correct? Okay, that's what I need to know.
No increases in taxes at all. All they're doing is reallocating, and we had different tax rates in various parts of Washoe County, and in Las Vegas, I think it was 9%, I think, and they went up to 12, if I'm not mistaken, and then it was capped. So it depended on where your casino, where.
Yeah, but I understand that, but let's say we're at 13% in Washoe County, 3% of that's going to go to the school district?
It is now.
And okay, if we only raise it 1.5%, that means that 1.5% is going to come from where the current budget, right? Is that correct?
Mr. Chair, my recollection, the president stated it correctly. It was an initiative petition. It was backed by the teachers union, and that revenue, that additional revenue, never went to this RSCVA. That's my understanding. It went directly to the state coffers. Then, by agreement, a short-term agreement, approximately 2 years, the teachers union agreed that the first payments would go directly to teacher pay. And after that, it was agreed, I think by statute, that it would go into the state general fund. My recollection was it never went to the RSCVA. It's always been directed to the state.
And but I want to know what percentage, 3% or 1.5% from here?
It just depends where
Okay.
the casino was located, and I'd have to go back and look at it. But as you recall, I think it was highest in downtown Reno, if I'm not mistaken, and it was at different levels outside of the downtown Reno area. So you just have to go back and look at it, and I can do that if you want me to.
No, well, maybe we can, on February 26th, when we get to the budget part of it, talk
Sure.
about,
Well, I'll get
room tax.
I'll get you more information. And
That'd be great, because I just want to know, I mean.
it was
everybody
supported
pays
by
a
the
bit.
gaming industry when they went. I think they went to the counties, and it was in Clark County and Washoe County, I believe, just those two, and then it went on the ballot. But I'll get information on it.
Thanks.
Paul?
Just so that I'm clear, and follow up on Mike's question, there is no new tax,
Right.
and from our perspective, no new reallocation of the existing tax. Is that correct?
Of ours, yes.
Of ours. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Comments? Can we get a motion on items C through I?
Move to adopt.
Got a motion and a second. Jerry? Motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Marketing Committee, Mr. Carano.
Okay, Mr. Chairman and Board, the Marketing Committee met January 12th, and we welcomed a couple new board members to the Marketing Committee. One, Jerry Hawkins, welcome to the Marketing Committee, and also Fred Finland from the Hyatt joined the Marketing Committee. The items that we discussed were in your book as items 7J, K, L, and M. The first item had to do with marketing with the USBC Bowling Congress, promotional and booking ideas, and Jennifer Cunningham joined a special committee with USBC and also BPAA in regards to learning more about marketing that group of bowlers. Just FYI, the bowlers do start coming with their Bowling Congress to Reno this March, So it's March, I think March 4 is the first official day of opening this new bowling tournament this year. The idea of learning more about the bowlers and marketing is very intriguing to us, and that we actually reach out to about 110,000 bowlers every year with the men and women right now. Their database is someplace around 1.5 to 2 million people. So we're missing someplace around 1.5 million people to market to. Having said that, that's why Jennifer has joined the team of USBC and BPAA, and BPAA stands for Bowling Proprietors Association of America. We are actually trying to figure out how to reach out to those additional 1.5 people effectively. We've got some great ideas in the works right now. But there is some complications to it, in that the Bowling Proprietors of America, their number one issue is not necessarily sending people to Reno, Nevada to bowl. So there is some challenges. The Bowling Proprietors Association of America like to send bowlers to their bowling centers, not to Reno. So, and that's been an age-old deal. But again, Jennifer and that committee's going to try to work out some marketing initiatives that will get more bowlers interested in coming to Reno, Nevada. Anything to add there, Jennifer?
Right now, we've got about 12,500 teams registered. They're hoping to complete this tournament with 13,000 teams, which is down a little over 1,000 teams, and each team has 5 bowlers on it. So we're talking over 5,000 people down from prior year. So, and we're totally underway with all of our activities to welcome them into the community, and we've got the chambers involved, and we're working with the city of Reno to light up the arch in red, white, and blue, and we've got artists painting bowling pins and getting a lot of signage out to the local businesses. So we're full speed ahead right now with that.
Good. Thank you.
You bet.
Again, the bowlers are clearly our biggest piece of business throughout the years, and they bring, last year they had 69,000 bowlers registered in the Bowling Congress, and so they had some serious concerns going back-to-back years in Reno, and so to drop off only perhaps 5,000 bowlers down to 64,000 bowlers is a mild success for us. That's bowlers, you know, the number of room nights that they actually produce in the city of Reno from the month of March to June will be someplace in the neighborhood of 150,000 room nights. In perspective to Safari Club, Safari Club's going to do LA, Joe, anybody tell me how many room nights Safari Club will do?
It's in the neighborhood of 20,000.
Yeah. So it just put that in perspective. The bowlers are a great piece of business for us. So that was just, Jennifer on the USBC marketing committee there. Next discussed was convention sales, and what the report we discussed there was the November report, which the November report in convention sales seemed like a long time ago, a year ago, so it's hard to remember back then. And this meeting did take place January 12th, which John Lyon was actually, I believe, in Las Vegas at a show, I think, trying to get meeting planners down there. So back in June, just if we look at your convention sales numbers, June was not a stellar month at all in regards to booking conventions or success. And you know, we've had an issue for a long time now, namely one, our employee complement is not at full speed right now. As a lot of you know, John joined us in September, so we've been without a sales VP since February last year. So we were empty from February to John joined us in September. And having said that, we also or have been missing a salesperson underneath John, and then just recently the Chicago office just lost our representative there in Chicago. So convention sales is not necessarily in a great way as of this report in November. Again, that was a long time ago. We got John on board to right the ship, and he's actively out, and Ellie are actively out looking for a replacement for the Chicago sales position. Chicago is a very important market to us, and we've actually had some issues there in Chicago for over a year or two. We've had some turnover there, and having said that, John being from that neck of the woods, we're anticipating we could land a real good candidate to shore up that piece of business there. So again, sales for the month of November was not great. Just bring up numbers real quickly. Our goal for the month was 21,000, in the neighborhood of 21,000, and I think we hit someplace around 2,000, and then for the year we're someplace around 34% of our sales goals for the year in convention sales. So we've got a lot of work to do. Number one, I think it's very important that we shore up our convention sales team and make sure we get some people, some good people added to it, and light a fire too. It's time to show some intensity in a big way, which I know John is, and Ellie. So any comments from John or Ellie or anybody? And I would invite any committee members if you have any comments. Okay. Not hearing any going forward.
Could I would like to make a comment.
Okay. See, I opened up a can of worms there.
I would like to say just something real quick. I probably directed to John. You know, when you say right the ship, Glenn, what does that mean? Because those are kind of dismal numbers that we're seeing from the convention sales. So I would like to, if there's anything to report to the board as far as what steps are we taking now to correct the declining numbers?
Yes, these results are not acceptable. We need to turn them around. And the actions that we're taking are, one, looking at our deployment and making sure that we have the right deployment against the right base of accounts, critically identifying what is our account focus. We have over 13,000 accounts in our database. We're in the process of prioritizing them, grading them, making sure that we've got the right focus. That business that looks like and should be booking into Reno and our destination, we're identifying and then putting together the long-term plans to go after those specific accounts. Shoring up our selling tools. Ellie previously mentioned that we're in the process of putting together our collateral and our videos and all that. We showcased a new video at a recent Helms-Briscoe conference at the beginning of January, which was well received. And as a matter of fact, as a result of that presentation coming back, our lead generation from Helms-Briscoe spiked up considerably. I think we received 4 or 5 new leads, incremental new leads that they had not thought of our destination, and the video was a help in presenting us in better light. We have new collateral that we're designing that's a carryover in the theme of the video, and we're going to be really broadcasting that across a lot of different channels. In participation with the Reno Tahoe Meeting Co-op, we have a new program that launches in about 4 days, 5 days. It's called Come See Fly Free. It's shifting the dollars that were allocated under this co-op, which was previously done in a more of a destination awareness. This is more of a strong call to action. We will be having a postcard that's inserted in all sorts of different meeting planner publications to invite them to come and see our destination on our cost and do fam trips with our hotels, both in the Reno and up in the Tahoe area. And we're going to be doing email blasts, social media, all of that to create that awareness. We know that when we get people here and they experience the destination, we have a better chance of getting the business closed. In addition to the Come See Fly Free, we have a convention sales fam trip the weekend of March 10th. We're targeting to bring 25 planners in around that time frame. We already have a good solid 11 RSVPs and growing. So those are a number of the different initiatives that we're taking to try to turn these results around.
Is there a time frame to fill the 2 empty sales positions? Have you guys been working on a time frame to fill those 2?
Well, the Chicago position is being actively and aggressively recruited. Keep in mind that position vacated Christmas Eve, or just the day before Christmas, so we lost some time in trying to fill that position during the holidays. And when we came back in the beginning of January, we've got a recruiter actively seeking out there, in addition to some of my contacts, trying to get that position filled. I want to fill positions quickly, but I also want to make sure that it is the right quality. We have some great things to sell, but we have to make sure we have the people out there that know how to do that, are aggressive, confident, and have a lot of good strategies behind them to go get the business done. So I don't want to just fill the body to get it done quickly. I want to fill the right body. But the answer is yes, we're aggressively doing it. Hopefully it's sooner than later.
Beth, did you have something? Actually, that was my question. Okay. Anything else? Paul?
Just a kind of general question, John. I don't know if you can answer this.
Paul?
Take me out, Coach. I forgot the signals. How does it feel out there? I know that things have changed. That cities that normally were not our competitors are now our competitors. That there's more competition, and then there was, of course, the suggestion that perhaps business were maybe spending too much money going to resort type areas, and that affected. I think it affected probably our business to some degree as well. How does it feel? Is it changing? What's your sense, John?
I have an optimism that things are turning around. And clearly, when you look across the destination that we compete against, some of those markets are going to grow at a little bit of a faster pace than we are because of the resorts, because of some of the other cost factors where they're trading down. But we're competing very well. I feel a lot of optimism. Since the beginning of this year, I see a lot more lead activity coming out of the sales organization. I think that we came out of a tough economy. Q4 is not typically a great time for customers to get all engaged in booking business, so I'm optimistic now that we're coming into the new year. There's a lot more intensity and activity on the customer side. We're prepared to go after that. We're also, our value destination speaks very well in this economy, and as our competitive set starts to push the rates up and starts putting more cost factors out there, I think we're going to compete even better against them now. The other thing that what we need to do, and part of that focus is, we also have to make sure, as some of the other cities have traded down to get our business, are we looking to go down and get their business to come here? So it's a combination of a whole bunch of stuff. Pull it all together and be focused. But I'm optimistic.
Anything else?
Okay, I'll continue on my report, Mr. Chairman. John, thank you very much, and board for interest there. Just one further comment there. Las Vegas has reported that convention sales have made the turn down in Las Vegas and are going upwards. And I have no doubt that we can do the same here in Reno. If you take a look at the TAP report, presented in the tab C of the finance, 2012 has been and continues to be a major concern in convention sales. So there's no better time to have an enthusiastic sales team led by John and Ellie and their staff to go forward and really try to generate some new enthusiasm with a great intensity. And I'm going to encourage John to get with the hoteliers and everybody to try to kick it up a notch so that we can try to make an impact for 2012. So again, thank you very much, John. The next item we discussed is tourism, and Ralph Witzel made a presentation. The tourism tends to be the reported numbers that come in for the month of November. And for the month of November, again, that was a long time ago, the tourism actually hit 72% of their goals, but if you look at the finance packet, you'll see that Hotel occupancy was flat, and actually, I believe revenue was up a little bit, and taxable sales. So that would tell you that we had some convention business and some FIT come in also. And skiers, I think skiers made somewhat of an impact in November and December. For the year, tourism is 86% of their goal. And again, that's reporting. The large numbers that come through tourism are the OTAs, online travel agents, and the biggest one there is hotelexpedia.com. With that, so tourism, again, is a big part of our, especially this time of year with skiers, and we haven't had any snow for a while, so it's going to see how it plays out. I hear it's a little bit icy up there. Into marketing on tab M there in our book, real quickly. Marketing with you tweeters out there, marketing continues to grow on the website with visitations up 138% of the goal there. We do have our billboard campaign up and running full speed ahead in the Bay Area. So I think, by all intents, we're doing the best we can with limited resources there. Anything to add to that, Jennifer? Ellie, anything you want to add there? Okay, and one further discussion, I know some of you may be interested in, but choir games was discussed at the meeting, and Ellie and the RSCVA and the hoteliers are in communications with choir games. Just FYI, the choir games that did take place back in November in St. Louis did not hit or even come close to their anticipated goals there, and so their event in Reno has been downsized dramatically, and then we are in discussions as hoteliers and the RSCVA and how we're going to proceed further with the choir games. Anything you want to add there, Ellie?
Following the meeting we had with the hotels were back in contact with Helms Briscoe on some issues, and I don't believe there's been communication back from Interculture at this point. We've not been apprised of any, and when I checked on that yesterday and had no further word, so we are eagerly awaiting some conclusions from them so we can reach a final plan on this May event. So.
Just a reminder, the choir games event that is scheduled to take place in May is really a first-time event in North America, I believe, and actually the first one took place. So it was a flyer, basically, to see if they can take things that take place over in Europe and actually over in Asia also, and bring it to the United States. And so the first show was going to be in St. Louis, or it did take place in St. Louis, yeah, so that didn't come to fruition in a big way. It happened, but the numbers did not come close to what they anticipated. I can tell you at Civil AC, we originally blocked 3,500 room nights as headquarter hotel, and we've been reduced to 200. So that has you could do the math there. Circus actually. Is a participant in the thing, and their room block has gone down from 2,500, I think half of that or so. In the end, it's the piece of business doesn't look like it's going to be a big impact. So with that, that's items. Is there any questions in regards to that? Okay, so.
We know when that'll be. What's your anticipated timeline on resolving whether it's even going to happen this year or not?
At the risk of sounding a bit flip, I'd say several months ago. So could be any minute. I hope today. But based on prior action, it's a little bit hard to tell. We're certainly pressing for at the earliest opportunity, because there are many hotels, facilities, our own staff, who have things that need to be put in place based on the conclusion.
There are letters in the mail. So anyway, so that'll just keep on coming forward. But again, that is scheduled to take place over Mother's Day this year, and so the impact clearly won't be what we anticipated if it does take place. With that, Mr. Chairman, that's items J, K, L, and M, and if there's no further questions, I would move for approval of my report.
About item L, the current month, October 11, of tourism sales. I'm just curious how we're calculating the projections and goals. What are we using to come up with our projections and goals? I'm looking at motor coach room nights, and the goal was over 100% or over double what they were actually, when some of the other segments were really only 10 or 20% more than the previous, what they are actually. Just seems that's a big jump to expect over double from that one segment. Just curious, how do we come up with the projections for that month?
The goals are developed in the spring. I'm sorry Mr. Witzel is not here today. He's traveling on RSCVA business, so let me attempt to respond. The goals are developed each spring for tourism sales as well as for the other markets. And within that broader goal, tourism sales divides that up in specific industry categories based on past experience, based on aggressive efforts to grow certain markets. The motor coach area is one that has seen a distinct loss of favor over the last probably 10-year period in terms of traffic, and that was they put in place a number of plans to help try and bolster that. Clearly, in terms of the overall segment, its performance has not been coming up to what the expectations were. I'd be happy to ask Mr. Witzel to speak in greater depth about how that's working right now for the year at the next marketing committee meeting to give you a better understanding of that. But we're committed to that overall goal. A portion of it is OTAs, a portion of it is motor coach, a portion of it is international, and that one segment is one that has been falling behind significantly over the last number of years.
Yeah, you know, I'm just looking at the 09 versus the actual, and they're very similar numbers. We still kind of doubled the expectation of that one segment. So you're saying that was projected last September?
It was done last spring.
Last spring.
When we did the marketing plan and then the budget and set the overall goals for tourism, and when within that, the tourism department identified what their targets were for each of the segments. So I can't, offhand, Mr. Hawkins, I can't speak to whether that was a 1-month aberration, that it was really off, or whether overall, but I do know that that segment as a whole has significantly declined, not just in this market, but nationwide.
Okay.
You just don't see the same kind of bus tours that you were seeing 10 years ago.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions? Paul?
I don't know if I'll ever learn. I amaze myself even. Under item M, the marketing, that seemed like a kind of a bright spot in the program, and I just wanted to touch on that just a smidge. It looks like it's working. Now, I know this is a long-term effort, and we aren't putting the kind of dough into it that we'd like to put into it, but it is working. I mean, am I right on that? Am I reading this correctly? And are we happy about this? And do we expect to see some results at some point along the line? How's it going?
You were absolutely right, Mr. Curtis. When we launched with the full approval of the board, the new marketing campaign, Reno Tahoe USA, Far From Expected, with the outdoor, the radio, and the internet, you may recall the focus was that we've got to really create a much stronger presence for Reno Tahoe. It's going to take some time to create awareness, and we're going to have to work to build awareness first. Based on the awareness, we can expect greater engagement from our potential visitors, inquiring about what we have to offer, looking at the website, asking for specific information, and only then can we measure, once that's been growing, the action steps, which include the actual bookings. If you will go back to the EMC report from our research firm that you saw in August, they were able to report very significant increases in awareness, and the highest increases were in the target markets that we were attempting to reach in the first-timers and needs reintroduction. And that awareness grew, I believe, 20 points in those 2 target markets. They grew in the other markets as well, but not nearly as much, which reinforced we were reaching the groups we were deliberately trying to reach. In addition, in the short period of time that the campaign had rolled out at that point, from April 1 through August, when they polled, they were able to identify an 8-point rise in intent to visit Reno Tahoe. So that was, in that short period of time, very stunning, very positive, and we believe that's continuing. We'll have to do the next survey to see, but you can see as you look at the marketing report some of the great increases that we're experiencing in web traffic from the target areas. You can see it in the mobile traffic that's exploding from the target areas, and it's definitely reinforcing that we are making very positive strides in the market we targeted, and particularly with the targeted groups that we wanted, individuals who fall in the 2 categories that we were trying to reach. So yes, this is definitely a bright spot. We are moving ahead. Ms. Cunningham has been meeting literally in the last week on the continuation of the co-op for the upcoming year with the hotel properties in putting together a program to continue to the next phase of this campaign. So we're very pleased with where this is going, and the research firm and our ad agency who have assisted in this process have indicated that the results that we're seeing are really very positive and far in excess of what one would normally expect from a campaign like this. So the limited dollars that are ours, leveraged with the hotel dollars that are involved together, we are spending about, on the co-op today, it's about $1.2 million reaching into the Bay Area with the 3 mediums that we're working on, coupled with some PR to go along with that. So thank you for the opportunity to speak a little bit about that.
Just to follow up with that, I've been working with this organization for a long time, 20 plus years, and I have to say I've never seen a campaign make that big of an impact. Never seen it. Yeah, so it's really to say, and I hope that we're able to leverage that success with getting some more partners on board. And I know Jennifer's working on that very hard, but I'm hoping that that will be the case, because I do believe we can make something of it, which is great. So congratulations.
Great. Any other questions or comments? Okay, I think Glenn made a motion to approve items J through M. Do we have a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Items for future board meetings. Anything? I think everyone's looking forward to the workshop that we're having next month. So I think that'll be a good meeting. Plan on, I think as Ellie said, I mean, let's plan on all day, and if we get out early, that's fine, but I mean, let's make the most of that. Any board member comments? Motion to adjourn? Got a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.